Hi, good morning. This is Jane at WCNC. Secretary Collins, can you hear us? Do you hear anything? Do I need to hit scan PC? Good morning, everyone. Jane Monreal here with you, 9 o'clock on this Wednesday, and you're watching live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Of course, today is the day where the conclave is set to begin. We'll have more on that out of Vatican City. But first, this morning, significant changes and initiatives coming to the VA. Important news, obviously, for our veterans and their families. Today, we do have the honor of speaking with Secretary of Department of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins. And Secretary Collins, good morning to you. Thank you for joining me at this early hour.
Good morning, Jane. It's always good to be with my good folks from North Carolina.
All right. Well, you've been at the helm there over at the VA now for over 100 days. Share your vision this morning for the department and what principles are guiding your leadership.
Well, thanks for letting me come on today. I think one of the biggest things is my vision is simply helping veterans. It's making sure that the veteran who served our country get the benefits that they've earned. And I think that's something that is the sacred trust of the VA. I've had the privilege of coming to Asheville. I've been up in the other parts of North Carolina. I'll be back in there in the state again coming up real soon. But one of the things that I want our veterans to understand is the focus now on the VA is simply about the veteran. We're trying to make everything possible we can to make it easier to get their benefits, get their health care, get everything that they need in a timely, efficient manner. And we're doing everything we can to cut out the bureaucracy. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I want them to understand is everything we do is about them.
Yeah, you visited Asheville, and again, looking forward to your next visit to the Tar Heel State. Really across the country, you visit many facilities. What are your observations of the areas that could use some improvement?
Well, I think the biggest thing is I've visited a lot of hospitals, a lot of states now, and the one thing that still strikes me is that the VA is a large system. We're 170 hospitals, 1,200 clinics, and all. But unfortunately, at times it does appear that we all run as 170 siloed hospitals. It doesn't seem to say the only commonality they have at times is that they got the VA logo on the front of the building, and I think that hinders our capabilities of taking care of veterans in a unified way, making sure that we're being efficient in how we do things, making sure they get the same answer. I had a veteran yesterday tell me that they had moved from one state to another, and he told me that at one the hospitals he went to, they did it one way, then they went to another one and said they can't do it that way, and they did it in another. These are all within the VA system. So what I'm trying to do is empower our folks to understand that when we have some conformity, when we have some synchronization on how we do things, it actually helps us not only take care of the veterans in individual areas, but also take care of us as we make sure that we're efficient with the dollars and the people that we have.
And one of the other changes you talked about, Secretary Collins, is bringing thousands of VA employees back to work in person. What's the reasoning behind that?
Because I just believe, one, especially in our hospitals, they've been coming to work every day, and they were the stars during COVID. They've been doing it every day. But I think it's also just better for our employees, and it's just better for the productivity and the face-to-face. The VA is a service organization, and for many times it's actually better. Like especially if you have folks who are doing similar things, where they're working in administration, call centers, these kind of things, they can actually have more interaction between their colleagues, and not just a video on a screen or a voicemail. They can actually have interaction, say, hey, I had this issue today. What are you seeing? How are you handling this? I just think this is a better way to do business. Most of America is coming back to work in person. We're seeing that now. We still have areas that are going to be used telework. We're still going to have to do telemedicine. We're still going to have those exceptions where it comes in. But right now, it's also interesting to see it's happening right here at Central Office up in Washington, D.C. The lunch lines and the breakfast lines are getting longer, and we see people back in working.
All right. And you've also, your administration, redirecting millions of dollars in what you've termed non-mission critical efforts to those direct health care and benefits. If you would elaborate on these funds and how they would be, how they were previously allocated, and then how they're going to be allocated in the future.
Yeah, we've looked at our contracts, and we're just really getting started in a small percentage of those, but yet found really hundreds of millions of dollars in stuff that we didn't need to be doing. They were taking, for meeting notes and PowerPoint presentations and things that, frankly, we could be doing in-house. We were finding, episodes in which we were paying contracts to do that was taking longer to do it through contract than training one of our employees in our informational technology department to actually do it themselves with less time and less money. And we're taking that money and moving it toward healthcare, community care networks, moving into our infrastructure for our information system, such as our health records management system, doing those kind of things so we can make our veteran experience better because of it.
And I mean, really, so many changes that probably they sound like welcome changes to veterans and their families. What is that first step then?
I think it's the first step of getting, and frankly, that's what we're still working on, is making sure that as a system as large as we are, there's a very much of resistance to change. There's a lot of invested entities, from Congress to media to unions to everybody else, and they're invested in the system as it is. But the system as it is broken. GAO has said for 10 years we're on a high-risk list for not doing what we're supposed to be doing. So for me, let's stop pushing the can down the road. Let's stop picking on the VA. Let's start making them the example of bureaucracy and everything else. Let's actually start fixing problems. So at the end of the day, we're going to fix problems that help the VA become what it's supposed to be, and that is a premier service organization for veterans in this country.
What kind of time frame are you looking at? Are we looking at some major changes that are tangible for our veterans by the end of the year?
Yeah, we are. They're going to start seeing it. I mean, some of our force restructuring, some of our monies that are going, the different emphasis on community care and how we actually do that. I know that was a big concern when I talked to our Asheville folks and also other hospitals. Some are doing it better than others, but we're knocking down the barriers to our employees being able to do what they need to do. And this is something that I want all of them to see and hear from me, is that if you're working for us in the VA, find solutions and find the problems and find a solution. Don't find a problem and then, think you have to send it up the little chain 5 times and never get anything done. Sometimes you just need to fix problems. And I think that's what I want to have our empowerment all the way down to our, to the newest employee, to the surgeon in our press, or even up here in the central office, to make sure that we're solving problems, not just simply having committee meetings about them.
All right. And what is your message to veterans directly and their families this morning?
Thank you, number one, for your service, but also thank you for, if you use our VA system, thank you for being a part. Let us know how we're helping, how we're not, how we can do it better. But also tell other veterans about the system if they want to take advantage of that benefit. They are always welcome. We would love to have them more. But also to the veterans out there, take care of each other, especially in the Tar Heel State. As you said, you've got a lot of great bases. You've got a lot of folks in DOD, a lot of special operators, a lot of folks in there that need to make sure that we take care of each other. And as a veteran myself, those are the kind of things that I want every veteran to realize. It's not just when you were in that you leave nobody behind. We don't leave anybody behind now. And we have plenty of resources that they can dial 988 on the Veteran Crisis Line. They can talk at any point if they're having issues. We cannot let our veterans down in that area.
Secretary Collins, thank you for sharing your time with us this morning. A message to veterans and their families that I know that they could use and are happy to hear from you directly.
It's always good to talk to you. Take care.
All right, you too. Appreciate the time. As we come back out here now in the Live Impact studio on WCNC Plus, want to get to a live shot now of Vatican City. Things are getting a little bit busy as we are getting set for the conclave. The cardinals are going through some of the rituals this morning in the Catholic faith as they get ready to embark on a very important vote for the new pontiff after Pope Francis's passing on Easter Monday, April 21st. So as they meet today, the first day, and find Pope Francis's successor, we had our own Kaylin Hagwood and Lisa Washington. They spoke live to Jay Gray, NBC's Jay Gray, who is in Vatican City right now with the very latest. This aired just moments ago on WCNC Plus. This is their interview right now.
Good morning. How are you ladies?
We are doing so well. I'm wondering, do you have any insight for how long the conclave could last?
It's interesting. I mean, highly secretive, obviously all taking place behind those huge wooden doors locked on the Sistine Chapel. If you look at modern history, the longest has been 5 days and most average a day and a half, 2 days. We've talked with some of the cardinals earlier in the week before this conclave began, and they've been saying 2 to 3 days. So it'll be interesting to see if there are any sticking points, if this takes a bit longer, or if they already have an idea of the direction they want this church to go and the man they want to lead it. We won't know until we see the white smoke. But again, most believe this is going to be a short conclave.
And Jay, you mentioned, of course, that this is a highly secretive process. I mean, anyone knows what happens behind those closed doors. Can you walk us through that? And also, a number of people are going to be waiting. Could be a vote as early as today.
Yeah, they'll have one vote this afternoon after they take their oath. And during that process, inside the Sistine Chapel, there is silence. No one speaks. There's no going back and forth. The only sound that is heard is the counting of the votes. So the time to discuss, the time to get to know one another, that's ended for the most part. Now, when they get into a regular routine, one vote today, there's never been an election on the first vote. So you get into the full day tomorrow, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and in those break times, they can again try and steer the conversation to where they think this is going to end up. In the evenings, I'm told there is no curfew. They can talk and visit as long as they would like before the next day's vote.
Now, you mentioned this could be a turning point for the church. What makes this conclave different from past elections?
Well, I think what makes it different is the Pope that was in office before all of this. Pope Francis, loved by so many, and really changed some of the norms within the Catholic Church. Brought in those who had been disenfranchised at times, that didn't have a place they felt in the church. Also opened up some of the church leadership to women, which is something we haven't seen in the Catholic Church. So the rub comes with whether they're going to continue along that path, or some of the conservative cardinals have mentioned, if they're going to revert back to some of the traditions and some of the norms of the Catholic Church that it's carried for centuries and centuries. So if there's a tug of war inside this conclave, I think it'll be over that.
And what also makes this interesting is that this is the largest group ever of cardinals, and most of them have never participated in this process before. So how could that influence the outcome?
Oh, you're absolutely right. And many of them don't know each other. They've had some time pre-conclave to kind of get to know each other. But a vast majority, 108 of these cardinals, have never been a part of the process. So they're kind of learning on the job, if you will. And they'll get a real taste of it this afternoon when they take their oath and then cast that first ballot.
All right, NBC's Jay Gray. Jay, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, guys.
As we take you back out live now in Vatican City, a look at St. Peter's Square in front of the Basilica. It is 3:11 there in Rome right now. So as they get ready to take the oath and head into the Sistine Chapel, we can only speculate what's happening behind those closed doors. But a beautiful day in Vatican City with, it is a sovereign place, as it has its own governing body within Rome. So that is how it works. For a more local view, we talked to actually Bishop Michael Martin from the Diocese of Charlotte. That also happened with the ladies this morning, Kaylin and Lisa. Let's go to that conversation here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
This morning to talk more about the conclave is Bishop Michael Martin, head of the Charlotte Diocese. Good morning to you, Bishop. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Certainly. So give us some insight into this process. We know it's highly secretive. What do you think the cardinals are looking for in selecting a new pope?
I think all of them come to the process with a realization that they've spent the last couple of weeks speaking with each other and trying to better understand the realities of the church from all over the world, as well as to express the dynamics that are present in the church wherever they come from. So I believe that the mentality of most of the cardinal electors is one of listening and one of trying to understand, okay, this is our reality. What's the Lord calling us to in this moment in the life of the church?
And we know this conclave will shape the future direction of the church. I'm curious, what are you hoping to see in the next pope?
You know, for me, I think my hopes are the same as most Catholics here in Charlotte. You know, which is basically I'm confident that we'll have a person who's a man of deep faith who is trying his best to follow the Lord every day and has a vision which is aligned with Jesus and the tradition of our church over the last 2,000 years, which is bringing the good news of salvation to everyone. And I feel pretty confident that all of us will be blessed by whomever that person might be.
And we know that many people are going to be looking very closely at that chimney on top of the Sistine Chapel, waiting to see that white smoke. What do you think will be the responsibilities and the challenges once the new pope is elected?
Sure. I think any person who begins a new position has to, first of all, get over the shock of it. And that, I think, is pretty daunting for any new Holy Father, that they realize that something that they could have never imagined has happened in their lives. And so I think that first dynamic is to get over that shock, and then to realize that they're not in this alone, that not just the cardinals, but all of the clergy and the over 1.4 billion Catholics around the world are with them, first and foremost in prayer. They're there to support them and help them to realize that God's with them, and then to allow whatever emerges from that moment to continue to promote the Great Commission of Jesus Christ, which is bringing the good news to a world that needs it a lot.
Let's talk about how this impacts folks right here in North Carolina. How do you think
Sure.
that the events that are happening in Vatican City will connect back to folks in our area?
Sure. I think all of us, we have our particular desires. You know, I want to see this and I want to see that. And my hope is this. And I think we have to continue to appreciate God's involved in this, and it's something bigger than ourselves. And so as much as we try to make it local, and it should be, it needs to be imminent. We need to live our faith every day here in Charlotte or in Western North Carolina. So obviously I think it's going to impact the lives of people every day right here in our own region. At the same time, one of the beauties of the Catholic Church is its universality, is that we're connected to something greater in the world, and to realize that God's calling all of us beyond our local parish church or beyond our local or county, but even beyond our state or our country, to something bigger. And so it's this constant sort of back and forth between what are my particular needs and what are the needs of the world, and how do I find myself in that?
Bishop, as the world is watching this moment unfold, what emotions come up for you?
Well, obviously, for me, I'm still mourning the death of Pope Francis. He changed my life. I've only been the Bishop of Charlotte for about a year, and that dramatically changed my life. So personally, I'm still sort of feeling that. At the same time, I would say I'm excited. I'm excited about whomever the church brings forward to lead us, and I certainly commit and pledge to whomever it might be my prayers and my love and support. So for me, it's exciting. I'm kind of pumped up about it.
Well, thank you so much for taking a little time today.
Bishop Michael Martin
Happy
from
to
the
be.
Diocese of Charlotte. Again, thank you so much.
Yeah, a good point there from Bishop Martin there, where people in the clergy and the Catholic faithful are still mourning the loss of Pope Francis, who was not only a leader and an influential person around the world to Catholics worldwide, but also to those who did not follow the faith. His advocacy for the environment, animals, and children was also, he made statements so reaching across religion and race and gender and things of that nature. Again, another live look there. A beautiful day in Vatican City as the cardinals are meeting for the conclave this morning. My understanding, as I've reached out to several priests around the world trying to get their take, I'm just learning now that priest policy is not to talk about the cardinals or the conclave or any of their personal lives or to weigh in. So I don't know how high that goes up into the clergy, but priests, I've been told, now not allowed to discuss personal data or information activities of the cardinals involved in the electoral process there inside Vatican City as the conclave begins. Okay, we are back out here in the Live Impact studio on WCNC Plus. Time right now is about 9:20, and it looks like our state leaders are busy in the General Assembly. We're going to go to a meeting right now. This is currently in the House Committee.
House Rules, Calendar, and Operations of the House.
All right, it's one of our House operations agenda. Okay, let's go to that live on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the second time this week, I'm walking somebody else's dog, but I'm not going to call this a simple bill or a great bill. I'm going to call it a short bill. House Bill 859 will prohibit counties and cities from adopting or enforcing guaranteed income programs that are not expressly authorized by general or local law. A county shall not adopt, enforce any ordinance, resolution, or policy that has purpose or effect of making an unconditional cash payment on a regular basis to an individual under a guaranteed income program. And here's the part I want you to hear. This prohibition would not apply to a program under which an individual is required to seek employment, perform work, or attend a training as a condition of receiving a cash payment. This bill passed 2 committees unanimously. Thank you.
Any further discussion or debate? Seeing none, Representative Cotham moves for a favor report to House Bill 859. All in favor will say aye. Any opposed say no. Opinion chair, the ayes have it. Ayes do have it, and House Bill 859 has passed the committee. Next, we're going to move to House Bill 441, moving to a happy subject, loggerhead turtles. Representative Eiler, you're recognized to present the bill, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You've seen this bill before if you've been here more than one term. In 2019, it was 114 to 0. In 2021, 115 to 0. 2023, 112 to 0 in the House. It's now 2025. We're going to try again. It stopped in the Senate, and Representative Carnes with Osprey and myself are going to lobby a senator or two to try to get this done in the Senate. It mismakes the loghead turtle a state saltwater reptile. I know that Representative Carson Smith has got a rescue, turtle rescue facility in Pender County, but our people, every beach, our 6 beaches in Brunswick all have turtle people that sit out all night waiting for the hatching and protect the nest and all that. So I recommend it to you.
Any further discussion or debate? Representative Dixon.
Question.
Representative Malley, do you yield?
I do.
Did you clear this with Mitch McConnell?
I didn't know he was interested in turtles.
Speaking of interested in turtles, Representative Dogg, you're recognized for a motion.
I want to thank you for bringing this bill up, and I make the motion that for a favorable report for House Bill 441.
Representative Dogg moves for a favorable report to House Bill 441. All in favor will say aye. All opposed say no. Being chair, the ayes have it. Ayes do have it. House Bill 441 has passed the committee. Representative Eiler, stay right there. We're going to move to House Bill 442. You recognize to present the bill.
All right, loggerhead turtles, the bill that's being discussed and passed right now in the North Carolina General Assembly. We do have the third week continuing testimony at the Karen Reed retrial. Things got very hot yesterday with voicemails from Karen Reed that were left on John O'Keefe. So right now we have a police detective on the stand.
Right now we have Officer Connor Keefe. He's a trooper with the Massachusetts State Police Department. He works, I think, with the DA's office.
All right, let's go ahead to that live now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
And their cellular device.
After you received their devices, where did you bring them?
They were brought back to the forensics lab located at the Norfolk District Attorney's Office.
And what, if anything, did you do with either or both phones?
I conducted a forensic extraction on those devices.
An extraction, is that a copying an image of the phone?
Yes.
Is that different than analyzing the phone?
Yes.
Were you involved in analyzing Kerry Roberts' phone?
No.
Were you involved in analyzing Jennifer McCabe's phone?
No.
Was your role limited to attaching it to grade key and doing the extraction?
That is correct.
And did you do that?
Yes.
In addition to the phone extractions, if you take us back to January 29, 2022, were you involved in going to 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Massachusetts?
Yes.
Do you know about what time you went there?
Approximately 5:30.
What was your role at 34 Fairview Road that evening?
I was asked by my supervisor, Lieutenant Brian Tully, to assist in processing the scene at 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Massachusetts.
When you arrived at 34 Fairview Road, was there anybody else there?
Yes.
Who was there?
Lieutenant Tully, members of the Massachusetts State Police CERT team, the Special Emergency Response Team.
Are you part of the CERT team?
I am not.
Did you see what the CERT team was doing?
They were conducting an area search very front of the lawn and the street or road in front of 34 Fairview.
Did you have any role in that actual searching of evidence?
No, I did not.
What was your role, limited role that night?
To process any evidence that was discovered during the search.
When you say process the evidence, can you explain briefly what does that mean?
Sure, I was had evidence bags, and if a piece of evidence or an item was found, I would place that item into the evidence bag.
And why would you do that?
To secure it.
How would you become aware if there was a piece of evidence found?
The CERT team would alert the supervisor, Lieutenant Tully, or myself that there was an item or a piece of evidence, and Lieutenant Tully would then take a photograph of it, and then I would secure the piece of in a bag, evidence bag.
Do you know if those photographs were time-stamped?
I believe so.
Your role was to put the evidence in the bag and return it to the evidence room?
Correct.
Did you do that?
Yes.
If I could begin, I'd like to show you on the screen a series of exhibits. If we could start with Exhibit 74, please. Trooper, do you recognize that item?
Yes.
What is it?
That is a black Nike shoe.
Did you see that item that night?
Yes.
74A, please. 74B. Thank you. Is that the same sneaker?
Yes, sir.
After you were alerted to that sneaker, did you place that sneaker into an evidence bag?
Yes.
Did you bring that item with you today?
Yes.
Do you have gloves?
Yes, sir.
Do you want the lights on, Mr. Brennan?
Please, thank you, Your Honor. And Ms. Gilman, you can take the photo down, please. With the court's permission, I'm going to move this piece of evidence, item into evidence.
Okay.
Let me ask you a few questions before you open it. Could you stand and show that bag? There's red tape on it. What's that for?
To secure the bag closed.
If the bag is open, is it then retaped?
Yes.
Do you write on the outside of the bag?
Yes.
Why do you do that?
To memorialize the date, time when the evidence was collected.
Could you open the bag and show us what's in it?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
With the court's permission, can he show the item?
Yes.
Thank you. Trooper, is that the same item that you found that night?
Yes, sir.
If you could place it back in the bag. I'd ask this to be marked as an exhibit.
All right, any objections, Tina?
There is no objection.
Exhibit 77.
Sir, you mentioned there's writing on the outside of the bag.
Yes.
What type of information do you write on the bag?
Date, time, location, who is collecting it.
The time that you write on the bag, is that the specific time the item was found, or does that represent a different time?
That could represent a different time.
And why would that be?
If you're processing multiple things at once, you're bagging things at different times, then when you seal the bag, that can be the time that is annotated on the bag.
Can the item be found before the time on that bag?
Yes.
Would you ever write a time later than when the item was found?
Yes.
I'd like to move now to Exhibit 75, please. And preferably 75A, please. Do you recognize that item?
Yes.
Is that one of the items you bagged that night?
Yes.
And if we could turn to 76A, please. Do you recognize that item?
Yes.
Is that an item that you bagged that night?
Yes.
Do you have both of those items with you?
Yes, sir.
Could you produce those, please? Ms. Gilman, you could take that down, please. Thank you. 570.
Yes, sir.
With the court's permission, I'd ask the trooper to open the bag and show the jury. Sir, on those items that are stickers, did you put the stickers on them?
I did not.
Do you know where the stickers come from?
I do not.
Do you know if these items are ever sent to anybody other than your evidence locker? Are they ever removed and given to lab personnel and technicians?
Yes.
Do you know if that was done in this case?
Yes, I do.
Inside that bag, is there just 2 pieces or is there another piece in that bag?
There was another piece in the bag.
When you put the taillight pieces in that bag, how many pieces did you put in the bag?
I put 2.
Do you know if the other piece in the bag is a piece that broke off, or do you know how that arrived there?
I do not.
Could you just pull out that other small piece and show the jury as well? Is that smaller piece consistent with the same color as the 2 bigger pieces?
Yes.
Is it consistent with the same material?
Yes.
If you could put that back in the bag, please. I'd move this into evidence, please.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. As they take a sidebar there in Dedham, Massachusetts for the retrial of Karen Reed, we are also going to take a sidebar from that live picture and talk about something that's very important, affecting millions of young adults across the country, certainly in North Carolina. College students preparing for the new academic year are facing challenges in coursework and campus life, but also now they're faced with the threat of increasingly sophisticated financial scams. We want to bring in Juliana O'Rourke now from the Better Business Bureau into the Live Impact studio. Juliana, thanks for joining us again here live. I love when you come in and talk about all these scams. So now something else to think about. We usually talk about seniors dealing with scams, but now we're dealing with the younger folks that are having to deal with this. So first of all, before we dive into the specific scams, what is making them the attractive targets now?
Yeah, so I mean, we have different scams for different age groups, right? But ultimately, all scams are going to target all people. But college students, it's a really interesting crowd that they're targeting just because they're a little more inexperienced. Most of these college students, it's their first time away from home. They're now young adults, which it's new to them. And so they go off to college campuses. They don't necessarily have that supervision of their parents 24/7. And so scammers know it's a really good demographic to target from an array of different angles. And so, yeah, we just want to make sure that not only the students, but then the parents can also be aware of kind of what's going on so that if maybe their child or their student does accidentally fall victim to one of these scams, they kind of know how to handle it or even just the signs to be looking out for so that they can warn their children.
So one of them is phishing. This is a different kind of phishing scam. How are people doing this?
Yeah, so we know that with phishing scams, I mean, ultimately they want your personal information or they want your financial information, right? So at the end of the day, that's what a phishing scam is. We know that, first of all, on most college campuses, and I can remember back when I was in college, there's credit card companies that are kind of all over the place. They want to offer you your first credit card or, you see them online. So be very careful because there are definitely a lot of lookalike websites out there. There's fake credit card companies. And as we all know, when you sign up for a credit card, you're giving them a lot of your personal information. So it's a perfect avenue for scammers because they're getting exactly what they want.
Speaking of credit cards, I remember that was the first time I got my credit card was going through the student hall or student union and grabbing one of those applications. with young adults wanting to get their first credit card as well once they're at their university or college, what are the credit card scams that they're facing now?
Yeah, so obviously fake credit cards are first and foremost. So if it's, is it a legitimate card? Is it not? When it comes to, hey, being served ads on social media, if you get a legitimate card, be careful what you're looking to purchase. We always encourage people to use credit cards so they have some type of a financial backing, but we also know that, scams are kind of everywhere. So just be really careful. Any unchecked spending and things like that, we want people to be on the lookout for.
People we're all shopping online
Yeah.
these days, but now is there something that college students need to look out for when they're doing their shopping online specifically?
Yeah, so when you're online shopping, we always tell people to be very diligent when you're clicking on websites, especially those ads served on your social media. So if you are clicking on these ads, be careful if it is the actual legitimate website of the company. So you can check that URL bar to see, is it HTTPS, is it a secure site? If there's spelling errors, if the grammar is poor. You can also reverse Google image search these days. And so you can search the images. Hey, if you see this really great sale that you're not finding elsewhere, throw that image into the Google search to see where else is it appearing. Because as we all know, most of the time, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
So just be careful in that way.
Yeah, well, the kids know how to do that, reverse
They do.
Google search, right? We had to teach our
Yes.
seniors something else, but at least they're hopefully more savvy.
Yeah.
When it comes to scholarships
Yes.
or getting some funding or loans, what are kids having to do with now?
Yep. So scammers.
It's terrible.
Yeah, with the scholarships or grant scams, scammers are calling and they're saying, hey, we can offer you this fantastic loan, maybe this grant. We just need your information to apply. And so you want to be really careful with those too. If somebody calls you with that kind of an information, ask them, hey, what's your name? What company are you with? What particular loan is this? What particular grant? And then maybe take some time to do the research to see, is this legitimate? Is it not? Most of the time, people just calling you out of the blue, it's not going to be legitimate. I have had so many people calling me, telling me that they can help me with my student loans, and I have never had student loans. So I was fortunate enough I didn't ever need them, but also no one should be calling me about them because I never had them. And so the amount of calls I've received, it's concerning because they're out there and taking advantage of people. And if you do have loans, it might sound great if they can help you, especially eliminate some of that debt. That's a concern for a lot of people. Right when they get out of school and they're trying to make a living, they know they have these payments they need to make. And so it sounds so great and it sounds like it'll be helpful, but in the long run, they end up causing a lot more damage.
I mean, that's what it's about, is establishing your credit early. So when you get out into the real world. And so what's that major number one safeguard that young folks need to think about then moving through their college life?
I would say, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. That's like one of the biggest pieces of advice that we constantly give when it comes to scams, because that's often how it starts. It's a really great deal. It's a really great special. Somebody can really help you in this particular way. And it sounds amazing, but it's because it's too good to be true.
Oh, man. Speaking of amazing in the college life, to commemorate that, we're also in graduation season.
Yes.
We need our photos taken.
Yes.
And a lot of them like to get them professionally done.
Of course.
Unfortunately, there's a scam involved with that, Juliana.
Yeah, so we want to be very careful when we're hiring photographers, whether it's for graduation, maybe your wedding, whatever it might be that you want photographed, just be really careful. We know that we have had reports, especially when it comes to weddings, of a couple different scams. So if you find somebody on social media, first and foremost, if they only have social media, that can be a little concerning. What ends up happening and what we've had reported to us is that you find a photographer you think you like, you sign on with them, you make the payments and you make that final payment before the wedding, and then they never show up.
Yeah, I mean, that's awful.
Yeah, or you make partial payments and then, they show up the day of, they do the shoot, you give them the final payment, and then they're gone and you never get the photos.
Oh, gosh.
So, yeah, I don't know which one's worse because either way, you're not getting photos.
Right. I mean, this is a memory. Like you said, weddings as well. They're going to be captured or not captured, or you're not going to see them. So, as we want to make the best of our, to document our lives, whether it's through school or through a big event like a wedding. What are some of the questions that potential customers need to ask?
Yeah, so, first of all, make sure you have a contract with them and make sure that you understand all the expectations. When are the payments due? What are they signing on for? When are they agreeing to, the hours they're agreeing to be at the function, when their delivery of the photos are. So make sure you understand the contract, especially when it comes to the payment. Do your due diligence to look them up. Hey, check them out on bbb.org and see if they're an accredited business. Also, just look to see, do they have a website? What is their presence like online? Do they have reviews? Have people complained about them? What have other people said? I think we all kind of in 2025 look for third parties to tell us how a business is doing.
Right.
And so make sure you're taking the time to really do that prep work so that you get the photos you want and in a timely manner, and you're not spending all this money unfortunately for nothing.
And it says here, before booking, insist on a phone call. I mean, that direct communication is key.
Yeah,
Juliana.
if they're a legitimate photographer, they're going to want to meet with you. They're going to want to get to know you. They would have no problem meeting with you in person, giving you a phone call. Their time is obviously very valuable, but they're also not cheap, and so they know that you're going to pay them to do the job, and they would be more than happy to meet with you. And if they're not, that's a red flag to kind of watch out for.
I'm looking at this other red flag. I mean, people use Venmo or Zelle, but peer-to-peer payment options might be a bit of a red flag.
Yes, so peer-to-peer payment options, as I mentioned a little bit ago, we always encourage people to play with a credit card because then you at least have some financial backing from your financial institution or the credit card company. So if this person doesn't show up for the wedding, doesn't deliver their product that they're supposed to, you have someone to try to help you, versus if you send cash through a peer-to-peer payment app, that cash is gone and so is that person.
Oh, wow. So anything else we need to know when it comes to getting a photographer this summer?
Just do your research. Again, if it's too good to be true, it probably is, but do your due diligence and see what other people are saying. Check out their work too. I mean, most photographers are going to have a gallery or a plethora of prior work that they've done, whether it be for college, your college photos, your senior photos from high school, your wedding shots, engagement photos, all those types of things, and they're going to be really excited to show off their work. So definitely do your research.
I know some weddings, the disposable cameras are coming back.
Yes.
Just put those on the table.
Yeah,
let your
exactly.
friends
There you go.
take the weird looking pictures and call it a day.
Yeah.
Save some money that way too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Juliana O'Rourke, always a pleasure having you come in and warnings about the things that are trying to take advantage of you, your wallet, your money, all your life savings. Thank you for coming in. Better Business
Absolutely.
Bureau. All right. Appreciate you, as always. Live here in the Live Impact studio on WCNC Plus. Now that the sidebar at the Karen Reed retrial has gone back to the stand, Trooper Connor Keefe helping process the scene at the house where John O'Keefe was killed back in 2022. He is back now. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Okay, Trooper, you do not remember interviewing Sarah Levinson on October 21 of 2022 at 12:20 p.m. at the Norfolk DA's office. Is that your current testimony?
Yes.
Okay. If you saw a copy of that report, would that refresh your memory?
To an extent.
May I approach you on it?
Yes.
No, not at all.
Yes. Yeah. I've placed a document in front of you. I would just ask you to read that silently to yourself. Look up at me when you're done. And Trooper Keefe, just so we're clear, I'm not going to ask you any questions about the specifics of what Sarah Levinson said, so you don't have to brush up on that.
I'd just like to refresh. Take
Sure,
a look, sir.
go ahead. Having reviewed that report, does that refresh your memory as to whether or not you participated in an interview of Sarah Levinson with Michael Proctor on October 21st of 2022?
Yes, I don't recall the specifics, but...
So when you say yes, is it your current testimony that your memory is refreshed that you were actually there?
Yes.
Okay. And the two of you would have participated in that interview together, correct?
Yes.
But you did not write the report, correct?
No, I did not.
Michael Proctor wrote the report, correct?
Yes, he did.
He was the lead investigator writing the report, correct?
Yes, he wrote this report.
He chose the language to use in that report, correct?
I did not have any input on how he wrote this report.
Right. You had no input. You weren't standing over him while he was typing it, correct?
Correct.
Now, other examples of, and actually, let me take that back from you if you don't mind. I may approach Judge.
Yes.
Thank you. You're welcome. Other examples are the reports on the videos that you, well, strike that. Let me start by saying this. You, or asking you this, you retrieved videos from both the Waterfall Bar and Grill and C.F. McCarthy's, did you not?
That's correct.
You and Sergeant Buchanan retrieved the videos from C.F. McCarthy's, correct?
Yes.
But lead detective or lead investigator Michael Proctor was the one to analyze the video and write a report on it, correct?
I would have to see that report, sir.
Sure. If I may approach.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. And again, if you'd read that silently to yourself and look up at me when you're done. Okay. Having reviewed that report, does that refresh your memory about Michael Proctor being the one to write the report on the analysis of the waterfall video?
Sir, I only obtained a copy of the surveillance video.
Right.
I did not do any analysis on the video.
That's my question. It was Michael Proctor who did the analysis, correct?
Yes.
And that, by the way, I said waterfall. Is that C.F. McCarthy's there, or is that waterfall?
This is C.F. McCarthy's.
Okay. I meant C.F. McCarthy's. He was the one who reviewed that video, correct?
Yes. Again, I only got a copy of the surveillance video.
Sure.
I did not do any analysis.
And with regard to the waterfall bar and grill, that was another circumstance where you and Sergeant Buchanan were the ones to retrieve the video, correct?
Yes.
But again, lead investigator Michael Proctor was the one to analyze the video and write the report on it, correct?
Yes, I would have to see that report as well, sir.
Okay. Now, another member of your unit was Trooper David DeCicco, correct?
Yes.
Within your unit, did Trooper DeCicco have a nickname for a first name?
Objection.
May we approach?
Bit of a sidebar there again in Massachusetts. As you can see there, top right-hand side of your screen is Vice President Vance, and he is in Munich, Germany, speaking at a conference right now, taking some Q&A, participating with the former chairman of the Munich Security Conference. Let's go ahead and take that live on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
Or the economic underpinning of real hard power requires very strong and powerful industry. And so it's not just spending money, as important as that is, it's making sure that the same economic engine that powered first world living standards is actually geared towards producing, God forbid, weapons of war if those weapons of war are ever necessary. And so I think there's both an economic component to this that's completely divorced from the spending levels, and then of course there's the spending levels too. But we really want and we really care about Europe being self-sufficient. I gave an interview a couple of weeks ago where I actually tried to make the point that yes, we're going to have disagreements with Europe and Europe will have disagreements with us. Sometimes, I would hearken back to 2003 United States policy in the Middle East. I frankly wish we had listened to our European friends, but I think this is an area where we're fundamentally right, and I think it's gratifying to see so many of our European friends recognize that and recognize that Europe does really have to play a bigger role in continental defense. I think we're all aligned on it. It's just a question of getting there, and most importantly, getting there quickly.
There is a glimmer of hope in our country, in Germany, as I'm sure you've seen. We've eliminated the so-called debt brake when it comes to defense spending. So there is now the opportunity for the incoming new government in Germany to spend significantly more. In other words, I think we're in good shape in terms of responding to what you have just said. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this wonderful discussion. I'm really grateful to you that you allowed this to be a Q&A session.
Sure.
We could continue this, I'm sure, for the rest of the morning, but I know you have other things coming up. May I simply conclude by saying that we hope very much, my team and I, that you will be willing and prepared to continue this young tradition that the United States at major Munich Security Conference events will be represented at your level. You are not the first Vice President of the United States who has come to the Munich Security Conference, but we are extremely grateful that you came in your new position. Please come again to Munich next year. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you. So if I may just say a few things in conclusion. First of all, I appreciate the kind words, and I appreciate the invitation back. I wasn't sure after February whether I'd get the invitation back, but it's good to know that it's still there.
Well, we thought about it.
Second of all, since you brought up Germany, I wanted to, of course, from the President, issue our congratulations to Chancellor Merz And I know that we'll have a conversation with him in the next couple of days, but we're looking forward to it. And the final point that I'd make is not to rehash what's in that document, but one of the things that I said in that speech that didn't get as much airplay, but I thought was just as important, is that everything that I said there applied as much to the previous American administration as it did any government in Europe. Oh. And I think that I mean this from the heart and as a friend, that there is a trade-off between policing the bounds of democratic speech and debate and losing the trust of our people. Every single country, and we're all going to draw the lines a little bit differently, every single country says there are things that are outside the realm of political debate. I understand that, I accept that, and I'm fine if one country is going to draw those lines a little bit differently than the United States. But I think all of us, including especially the United States, we have to be careful that we don't draw the lines in such a way that we actually undermine the very democratic legitimacy upon which all of our civilization rests. And I think that is fundamentally the point here. It's not Europe bad, America good. It's that I think that both Europe and the United States, we got a little bit off track, and I'd encourage us all to get back together. We're certainly willing and able to participate in that work, and I think all of you all too. Thank you. God bless you.
Great. Thank you so much.
And you're watching right now Vice President Vance speaking at the security conference in Munich, Germany. Back to the United States as we go back to court, the Karen Reed retrial with Trooper Keefe on the stand. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Unit. You are expecting that the medical examiner is going to examine the body, correct?
Yes.
And you're there to witness that examination, correct?
Yes.
At the end of the examination, you are expecting that there will be a determination as to cause and manner of death, correct?
Not.
In this case, when the autopsy ended, you left the medical examiner's office, correct?
Yes.
When you left, your understanding was that the cause and manner of death was still undetermined, correct?
Objection.
You knew when you left that Dr. Scorti-Bello had seen the scratches or bites or injuries to John O'Keefe's arms, correct?
Objection.
You knew when you left that in your presence, Dr. Scorti-Bello had seen the injuries to John O'Keefe's arm.
Object to the line of questioning.
Sustained.
May we approach?
Okay. Juries, feel free to stand up.
Our little recess once again at the Karen Reed retrial in Massachusetts. I want to take a quick peek here at Vatican City as the conclave is to begin soon. The procession into the Sistine Chapel will begin as the election for a new Holy Father to lead the Catholic Church will be underway here. Meeting for the conclave, 133 cardinals from over 70 countries around the world are going to vote in this, and they need 89 votes to vote in a new pontiff. So the procession into the Sistine Chapel, where the cardinals will be sequestered, happening soon. And from there, we're going to look for that smoke, black or white, to see how many votes.
So this is a graphic showing the cardinals, like how many cardinals are coming from each area on the map. So we got 16 of North America, 17 South America. You can kind of see.
Right. Yeah, 53 in Europe.
Obviously,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And 23 in Asia, 4 in Australia. And there are some conversations, some people talking about who are the front runners. It's interesting how it's out there,
right?
You know, who could be a front runner.
Thing, but there's front runners.
But there are front runners even before any kind of vote, which is always a fascinating discussion. All right, so we'll look for a first vote today, and they are allowed to take 4 votes tomorrow, and on average, it does take a couple of days to get that final vote, a 2/3 majority vote to vote in a new pope. The pope representing, really the representative to St. Peter and on earth. So cardinals are to invoke the Holy Spirit and see what the church needs and how they're moved to vote. So it's a very personal thing. It's done in silence. They are sequestered for the next few days. If they do not find anyone in 3 days, they will take a day off, go into prayer, and try to see if they can come up with someone else. So interesting process there. Just basked in tradition and mystery and secrecy, which is probably why we see a number of movies about it. Of course, most recent Ray Fiennes and John Lithgow and Stanley Tucci in the conclave. And if you haven't seen it, The Two Popes with Sir Anthony Thomas and Jonathan Pryce was also a beautiful film to see. All right, enough discussion about the Pope and the papal search for the conclave. Are we going to go back to Karen Reed?
Potentially, what's up here?
As we got the color bars. All right, let's go to Karen Reed now. They just keep on going to a little side discussion, which we are not privy to, obviously, but Trooper Cooper Keefe still taking this. Connor Keefe, thanks, Car. Connor Keefe on the stand. He's been showing evidence. He is also one of the people that processed the scene that day that John O'Keefe was found dead in the snow.
You didn't notice any obvious broken bones, did you?
I'm not a medical expert.
And it is common practice for the state police to attend autopsies when there's an undetermined death, correct?
Yes.
It is not at all common for the defense to attend an autopsy, correct?
I've never experienced that.
Right. And there was no defense attorney or defense expert at the autopsy of John O'Keefe, correct?
Not when I was there.
You were there, correct?
Yes.
And there was nothing that prevented you from giving input to the doctor as she examined the body, correct?
We don't give input. We give the facts that we know so far in the case.
Okay. Well, giving the facts is giving input, is it not?
It's not input.
Okay. Did you talk to Dr. Scortibello during the autopsy?
Yes.
And you gave her information, if you don't want to call it input, correct?
Yes.
And at the end of it, you left without her ruling it a homicide, correct?
Objection.
I have nothing further.
Anything?
No, none. Thank you.
All right, you're all set, Trooper.
Thank you.
So, jurors, this break we're going to take now. All right, we're going to take a break. The lawyers and I have some work that we have to do, so it's a little bit longer break than we normally take, and it's a little bit earlier, but we did get coffee for you, so we'll take a recess now for the next half hour, maybe a little bit. I want counsel to stay.
All rise for the court, please. Close your notebook, follow me.
We are live here in the Live Impact Studio on WCNC Plus at 10:07 Wednesday morning. I'm Jane Monreal. Okay, so now we know they are taking a solid 30 minutes for a recess there at the Karen Reed retrial. So we're going to take you back to Washington, D.C. now. This is just happening, getting underway. It is the financial hearing. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will provide annual testimony now from Financial Committee. So let's go to that live here on Live Impact News on WCNC.
Enjoys bipartisan support here in Congress. During the spring meetings last month, I met with officials from around the world who agreed that nuclear power is an obvious fit for the Development Bank's core mission. I was pleased to see you, Mr. Secretary, echo your support for nuclear energy in your remarks at the bank meetings as well. If we care about back-to-basics approach, the banks can go even themselves to public health, education, and infrastructure. For example, 70% of 10-year-olds in low and middle-income countries can't understand a simple written text. Over 400,000 children die of malaria each year. Half of sub-Saharan Africa has no reliable electricity. But for too long, the World Bank and others have spent more time and more money on climate change and empty rhetoric than trying to tackle these urgent development challenges. Mr. Secretary, our committee appreciated your remarks at the IMF and World Bank spring meetings where you outlined an active approach to these issues and noted the critical leadership role that the United States plays in our multilateral financial institutions. We should all be pleased that Treasury has a leader who has signaled that he will tackle these issues in a serious way. I look forward to discussing our international financial institutions with you, as well as hearing from our members on the various priorities that are important to them. I yield back. The chair now recognizes the ranking member of the committee, Ms. Waters, for 4 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since the first day of the Trump administration, members of Congress and the American public have demanded transparency and accountability regarding the economic calamity this regime has caused. Instead, we've been met with flat-out lies, deception, and unfathomable level of gaslighting by officials like today's witness, Secretary Bessent. You are about to go down in history as the man who oversaw one of the most significant economic downfalls in modern history. The U.S. economy, which had the strongest recovery from the pandemic compared to other large economies in the world, is now falling behind. In the first quarter since Trump took office, the United States economy shrank, with our gross domestic product decreasing by 0.3%. We are falling behind while Canada, Europe, and China are racing ahead. What happened to the golden age you and President Trump promised the American people? Mr. Bessent, you are also the face of what the Wall Street Journal has described as, and I quote, the dumbest trade war in history. As a result of this stupidity, U.S. stock markets have experienced the worst first 100 days of any presidential term in more than 50 years. America's CEOs are sounding the alarm of what's to come. Empty shelves and higher prices that the American consumer will pay. Companies are already running out of inventory. Port volume is down, and small businesses are warning that they will not survive this. Moreover, inflation remains a problem, and housing affordability continues to be a challenge, with home builders estimating Trump's tariffs will add $11,000 to each new home they build. I have no doubt that what I'm telling you stuff you already know. It has already been reported that you yourself admitted at an April 22nd closed-door investor summit that Trump's tariffs on China are, quote, unsustainable, quote, unquote. But in public, you've twisted yourself into a pretzel trying to justify them. You're gaslighting the American people into believing that this chaos is all a part of some master plan. Well, if the plan is to steer the U.S. economy into a recession, as economists are predicting, then it's working. Economists say Trump tariffs will cost on the average, each American family nearly $5,000 more per year. Mr. Bessent, because you and your ultra-wealthy group of insiders can afford this, most Americans cannot. The American people also deserve to know why you handed Elon Musk and his Doge minions access to Treasury's payment systems and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's database. Today, you need to tell the American people why you're dismantling agencies that protect consumers from financial fraud and abuse and weakening ones meant to support the small businesses struggling under the weight of your policies. You need to answer for this, and you need to answer for why senior members of this administration are trying to make a buck off of this market manipulation and blatant, brazen corruption. Chairman Hill, if I were you, I'd swear this witness in before he begins his testimony.
The gentlewoman yields back. The chair recognizes the chair of the Subcommittee on National Security, Illicit Finance, and International Financial Institutions, Mr. Warren Davidson, for 1 minute for an opening statement. Mr. Davidson.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate you. As this committee gathers to discuss the state of the international financial system, your remarks at the conclusion of the IMF World Bank spring meetings hit the bullseye. Your vision to steer the IMF and World Bank back to their core missions, macroeconomic stability and economic development, while cutting through mission creep, is exactly what we need. By championing fiscal discipline, anti-corruption measures, and private sector-led growth, you are paving the way for a sustainable global economy. America is done bankrolling China's games and their trade scams. Your call for fairness and U.S. leadership nails it. Tying our dollars to hard reforms at these international institutions, that's accountability that we can and should trust. America first must mean that America's resources advance America's interests. So thank you for your clarity and your tireless efforts, Mr. Secretary. Let's make sure that the global financial system serves Main Street Americans, not globalist elites. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The chair recognizes the ranking member of the Subcommittee on National Security, Illicit Finance, and International Financial Institution, Ms. Beatty, for 1 minute for an opening statement.
Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member, and Mr. Secretary, first let me start by associating myself with the words of Ranking Member Water. Mr. Secretary, hardworking American families have been struggling, as I'm sure you should know, since the pandemic to put food on their tables and to keep their small businesses open. And just when the Biden administration has started to provide some relief, the Trump administration came in and, needlessly say, tanked the economy. Despite promises to lower costs for American families, we are seeing the direct opposite. I lay the blame on the Trump administration. Inflation is up, borrowing and housing costs are rising, the stock market is in chaos, endangering Americans' retirement savings, and the United States economy shrank in the first quarter since Trump took office. And just to add insult to injury, Republicans are cutting Medicaid and food stamps to pay for huge tax cuts to billionaires. Our constituents deserve better. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Today we welcome the testimony of the Honorable Scott Bessent, Secretary of the Treasury. We thank you for taking time to be with us. You'll be recognized for 5 minutes to give an oral presentation of your testimony. Without objection, your written statement will be made part of the record. Mr. Secretary, you're now recognized for 5 minutes.
Chairman Hill, Ranking Member Waters, and members of the committee, I'm grateful to join you today. At the IMF and World Bank spring meetings last month, I relayed an important message. America first does not mean America alone. To the contrary, America first seeks to expand U.S. leadership in international institutions like the IMF and the World Bank. By embracing a stronger leadership role, the United States will restore fairness to the international economic system. I look forward to answering your questions on this topic today, and I look forward to providing you with a broad overview of Treasury's achievements and future plans. Specifically, I would like to highlight the Department's efforts to boost U.S. economic growth, improve government efficiency, and target illicit actors that threaten our national security. The core components of the Trump economic agenda are trade, tax cuts, and deregulations. These are not standalone policies. They are interlocking parts of an engine designed to drive economic growth and domestic manufacturing. Tax cuts and cost savings from deregulation raise real incomes for families and businesses. Tariffs create an incentive for reshoring jobs and fair trade. And deregulation complements tariffs by making it easier to invest in energy and manufacturing projects. Already, this agenda is bearing fruit. In the first 100 days of the new administration, 464,000 new jobs were added to the economy. In April alone,
We take you right now to some breaking news as we are finally getting decisions 6 months after an election for North Carolina's new Supreme Court justice. And it seems that Jefferson Griffin has conceded Allison Riggs will now be the new Supreme Court justice. Julie Kay in studio now joining me here to discuss this. Julie, you've been following this pretty much from the beginning. Yesterday, we talked on WCNC Charlotte starting at 4 in the afternoon that they were getting closer to a decision. What happened since then?
This is the first final decision we've gotten. We've gotten close to a final decision prior, but Jefferson Griffin, as of just a few minutes ago, finally conceded to the Associated Press. He released a statement. I have it here. He said, quote, "While I do not fully agree with the district court's analysis, I respect the court's holding, just as I have respected every judicial tribunal that has heard this case. I will not appeal this court's decision." So what he's talking about is that federal court decision that we talked about yesterday at 4, where a district court judge stepped in and said that this cannot happen. What was really interesting about that, and that why this decision is interesting, is because that judge was actually a Trump appointee. So there was no really case to be made for, oh, that's a left-leaning judge. This is coming from the Democrats. This is a partisan move. This was probably the least partisan move that has been made in this entire journey. But because he's not appealing that, and that is final, this is now the decision. Riggs already claimed that victory yesterday on her X, on her Facebook, but now it is officially final.
And that was part of the discussion, though, with the federal judge, putting a final, kind of stamp on it. Let's move forward now, and at least now we can all move forward.
Yeah, because we had talked about multiple options that could have had us talking about this for years to come. Let's say Griffin did want to appeal to this decision, and the judge did say, you have 7 days to do that, so he left that open for Griffin to make that choice. That could have gone to then the District Court of Appeals, the Fourth Circuit. That could have then gone all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. So we could, of course, the Supreme Court may not have taken that on, but we could have been doing this for over a year. Ugh. It could have, at one point, multiple sources told me it could go to another election, say in tandem with the midterms. Can you imagine the political ads we'd be seeing for that? So this is, I think, regardless of who voted for who, some peace of mind for those voters who thought that that was what was coming in the future.
Yeah, I mean, and really it's one of those things where voters are saying, at least, we're protecting democracy being first and foremost this morning. So finally a decision made, and Riggs can now move forward.
I'll be interested to see. I haven't looked to see if her statement came out, but again, this statement from Griffin just came in the last 15 minutes or so. So I'm expecting that pretty shortly, although again, she has already claimed victory, though now it is final and she no longer has to ward off any attempts from his side.
All right, the battle is over. Everyone can move forward. Julie Kay joining us here with this breaking news in the Live Impact studio. Thanks for this up to the second update. Appreciate that, and we'll hear more from both parties there as everyone moves forward. Okay, it's been a very busy morning here live in the Impact Studio and WCNC Plus. We are counting down to the minutes where the conclave is set to begin. Beautiful shot here inside the Sistine Chapel. Taking this live right now. As you can see, beautiful paintings, and the procession will begin here in just moments. Looking for the newest, latest Holy Father to lead the Catholic Church, 1.4 billion strong, and you can see those tables set out. So 133 cardinals arriving in Rome earlier this week. They will be sequestered after they take oath and hope to get to an 89 vote, a 2/3 vote, to vote in a new pope out of the 133 cardinals there. As we can see that it is empty right now, but that procession into the Sistine Chapel will begin shortly in just a few minutes. So we're going to take that live here on WCNC Plus as soon as we see that picture up. In the meantime, shall we go back to that financial committee meeting on the international savings, or I should say Secretary Bessent talking about the committee here, Financial Services Committee. Back to Washington, D.C. on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
More general special drawing rights allocations, close to $1 trillion. And that would mean $60 billion of new unconditional liquidity for the Chinese Communist Party, $25 billion for Moscow, and $7 billion each for the regimes in Caracas and Iran, with no sign-off from Congress. So even if rogue regime FDRs are rejected by Western countries, which we've seen in the case of sanctioned countries, they still could be exchanged behind the scenes for Chinese RMB, for example, and I believe this is unacceptable. Would Treasury, under your leadership, work with me to reform the SDR allocation process at the IMF?
Mr. Chairman, we believe the SDR process at the IMF should serve the goals of the United States of America and not other states. And as I said in my speech during IMF week, this administration is aligned with you in your goals on the SDR. And furthermore, we believe that the IMF needs to get back to basics in working with countries when there is a market failure in financial markets rather than helping large, well-financed countries.
Thank you. Well, we look forward to following up with you and walking through this. It won't be an easy task, but with international leadership from the United States, I think we can get there, and I think we will all benefit. And that means countries in trouble will benefit instead of just a general allocation approach. The president, since he's been in office, has championed high-profile investment issues revolving China. As everyone knows, he's been negotiating U.S. investors' acquisition of control, for example, over TikTok. In his State of the Union address, President Trump announced a major investment would see Americans take control of 2 ports near the Panama Canal that are currently owned by a Hong Kong-based business. I'm concerned that recently established outbound investment restrictions could make deals like this even more challenging. Under the regulations, U.S. investors don't actually know which companies are off limits, and Americans face bureaucratic hurdles if they want to take control from Chinese owners. What are your views on revising outbound program to change this? Since the president wants strategically to see American investors take control perhaps of some Chinese-owned entities, how do we make sure we get outbound rules right?
Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you and the members of this committee for leadership on this. I had a very good discussion with 2 members yesterday where we talked about the importance of establishing either red light or green light and not having a yellow zone for outbound investment. The outbound investment security program is an important national security tool in our effort to restrict the PRC from exploiting the benefits of U.S. investment. We've been receiving notifications from the outbound program. We're monitoring the market, and we're trying to ensure that the investment community is aware.
We take you now from the State of the International Financial System meeting back out to Vatican City as we wait officially for the papal conclave to begin. That will be with a procession into the beautiful Sistine Chapel. But we're going to go to this live now. Vatican media handling right now. You might hear some of the speakers in Italian and then the interpreters in English. So we're going to take this feed and bring it to you here on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
Pastors or priests and the cardinal bishops according to seniority, so in terms of the reversed order. And then last comes the celebrant, accompanied by the master of the pontifical liturgical celebrations. And then we'll see the cardinals process into the Sistine Chapel, and as you mentioned, singing the Litany of the Saints, which also called to mind, I think, the universality of the Church, but then also the meditative and reflective nature of the conclave, and the seriousness of which the cardinals are entering into this election process.
In fact, the master of pontifical liturgical celebrations, who is not a cardinal, does have an important role to play. As you said, there is a long, centuries-old tradition behind this ceremony and behind all of the ceremonies of the election of the Roman Pontiff. So the ceremoniere, the master of ceremonies, is there to direct the cardinals for the beginning of the conclave. He will leave after the initial ceremonies, and at that point they will have the solemn closing and locking of the doors of the Sistine Chapel. The instruction talks about posting guards at every entrance to the Sistine Chapel, locking the doors, the security services of the Holy See have already performed.
Il me semble que, comme vous disiez, il y a une soif, il y a un intérêt. Et aussi, le pape est une figure planétaire, est une figure qui a le respect de tous. On a vu encore tous les hommages qui ont été rendus au pape François aux Nations Unies il y a quelques jours. Et puis la présence de tous ces chefs d'État, c'est à la messe de funérailles. C'est une personne qui porte, qui est un acteur de paix, un artisan de paix entre les peuples et les nations.
Entered into the conclave.
Alors là, du coup, les images, c'est le cardinal Pietro Parolin qui préside donc ce conclave qui va prendre la parole.
And even if burning the ballots after an election is carried out by the cardinals themselves. But then when we do see the election, and hopefully very soon we'll have a new pope, when the next pope is chosen, the cardinal, the master of ceremonies will again have an important role of ensuring the vote. And we are now seeing the beginning of the conclave.
Nunc conclave ad diligentum Romanum pontificem ingrediemur. Ecclesia universa nobis in orazione communi coniuncta, gratiam Spiritus
Sancti, dans la prière, invoque instantanément les grâces du Saint-Esprit pour que soit élu par nous, un pasteur de tout le peuple, de tous les troupeaux du Christ, que le Seigneur dirige nos pas sur les chemins de la vérité, afin que par l'intercession de la bienheureuse Marie toujours Vierge, les saints apôtres Pierre et Paul, et de tous les saints, nous puissions toujours faire ce qui lui est plaisant.
Just to let you know, we know there are many languages you're hearing. The higher up, the cardinal conducting Mass, he is wrapping that up. And then you hear the interpreters speaking English. And there's also from Vatican Media, some of the commentators also speaking in French. So again, we are waiting for them to leave Mass. That is a final prayer. They will walk into the Sistine Chapel, from which point they will close those doors and sequester the cardinals for the next day, 2, maybe 3, until they elect a new pope. 89 votes from 133 eligible cardinals from around the world will vote for the next pontiff to lead the Catholic Church, 1.4 billion strong. We take that now back here into the Sistine Chapel. This is a straight English feed now. All right, we're going to take that here on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
Continues, may the Lord direct our steps in the way of truth, that through the intercession of the Blessed Mary, ever Virgin, of the blessed apostles Peter and Paul, and of all the saints, we might always do what is elected a worthy pastor of the whole flock of Christ. He continues, may the Lord direct our steps in the way of truth, that through the intercession of the Blessed Mary, ever Virgin, of the blessed apostles Peter and Paul, and of all the saints, we might always do what is pleasing to him. As we mentioned, the procession is now beginning with the cross-bearer and candles, and the Litany of the Saints, where we see alternating the cantors and those taking part in the procession. See the first of the cardinals are now entering the Sistine Chapel, following the various assistants and the Vice Camerlengo and the Secretary of the College of Cardinals. The first of the cardinal deacons, the most recently named cardinal deacon, and the first to enter the conclave is George Jacob Kuvakad. and the Litany of the Saints invokes the various saints, the apostles, holy pontiffs, fathers of the church, doctors of the church, martyrs, holy men and women, and continues with invocations to God to deliver us from all evil, to deliver us from sin, and to deliver us through the various events of our Lord's life. And after each of those petitions, there is the invocation, Free Us, O Lord, and then a series of different petitions to which the cardinals respond, We beseech thee, hear us. And all of those praying for guidance from the Holy Spirit in this process of electing a new pontiff.
Amen.
Now, as all the cardinals have gathered in the Sistine Chapel and they have taken their proper place, and the Book of the Gospel is set up in a place of honor or worth, the cardinals are finishing the litany, and Cardinal Pietro Parolin intones the hymn Veni Creator Spiritus, the solemn invocation of the Holy Spirit.
Veni Creator Spiritus.
Cardinal Parolin now invites the cardinals to pray briefly in silence, and then we'll offer a prayer opening the conclave.
Oremus. Ecclesiae tue Domine, rector et custos in
O Lord, ruler and protector of your church, pour forth upon your servants, we beseech you, a spirit of discernment, of truth, and of peace, so that they may acknowledge with all their heart the things that are pleasing to you, and cleave to those things that have been perceived with all their strength. Through Christ our Lord. Amen.
And following the prayer, we transition into the part where all the cardinal electors take part in the solemn swearing of the oath, as we mentioned at the beginning, which invites them to take this conclave in a form of solemnity and to maintain an aura of secrecy with what goes on. And this is the formula of the oath that Cardinal Parolin is now reading. Each and every one of us, cardinal electors present at this election of the Supreme Pontiff, promise, bind ourselves, and swear to observe faithfully and scrupulously all the prescriptions contained in the Apostolic Constitution of the Supreme Pontiff John Paul II, Universi Dominici Gregis, issued on February 22nd, 1996, and also the modifications of the motu proprio Normas Nonnullas of the Supreme Pontiff Benedict XVI on February 22nd, 2013.
Litteras apostolicas normas nonnullas a Summo Pontifice Benedicto XVI, die altero et 20 mensi februari, anno bismillesimo 13 motu proprio datas.
Likewise, we promise, bind ourselves, and swear that whoever of us by divine disposition is elected Roman Pontiff will commit himself to faithfully carry out the Munis Petrinum, the Petrine ministry, of pastor of the Universal Church, and will not fail to affirm and to defend boldly the spiritual and temporal rights, as well as the freedom of the Holy See.
Atque tueri, nunquam esse destiturum. Precipue autem promittimus et juramus nos religiosissimum.
Above all, we promise and swear to observe with the utmost fidelity, with all, both clergy and laity, the secret concerning everything related in any way to the election of the Roman Pontiff, and about what happens in the place of the election concerning directly or indirectly the scrutiny, not to violate in any way this secret both during and after the election of the new Pontiff, unless explicit authorization is given by the Pontiff himself, and not to support or encourage any interference, opposition, or any other form of intervention by which secular authorities of any order or degree, or any group of persons or individuals would wish to interfere in the election of the Roman Pontiff.
You are watching right now live coverage from Vatican Media there in Sistine Chapel, where 133 cardinal electors are about to be sequestered, those doors sealed into the beautiful Sistine Chapel, ready to vote into the next pontiff, the leader for the Catholic Church. We're going to leave it here, but my time is up. Thank you and have a great day.
Sic me Deus adiuvet, et ex Santa Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
And I, Pietro Cardinal Parolin, promise, bind myself, and swear, so help me God and these holy Gospels, which I touch with my hand. As you can see, for those of you watching on television, the Book of the Gospels has been set up in the middle of the
Et ego
Sistine Chapel, and each cardinal is going to come up and place his hand on the book of the Gospels and swear that he will follow the oath that has just been read aloud by Cardinal Pietro Parolin.
Et ego, Aloysius Antonius Cardinalis Tagle, spondeo voveo acciur, sic me Deus adjuvet, et hec sancta Dei Evangelia, quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Robertus Franciscus Cardinalis Prevost, spondeo voveo acciuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ec sancta Dei Evangelia, quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Luis Rafael Cardinalis Saco, spondeo voveo acciuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et hec sancta Dei Evangelia, quae manu mea tango.
Ego, et ego vinco Cardinalis Pulci, spondeo voveo acciuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et hac sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Petrus Cardinalem Cojo Texan, spondeo voveo acciuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et hec sancta Dei Evangelia, quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Iosebus Cardinalis Bosanic, spondeo voveo acciuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et hec sancta Dei Evangelia, quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Philippus Cardinalis Barbara, spondeo voveo acciuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Petrus Cardinalis Erde, spondeo voveo acciuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et hec sancta Dei Evangelia, quae manu mea tango.
Now, when the cardinals entered into the Sistine Chapel, they entered in reverse order. But now to read the oath one by one, they enter in order of seniority, but also by seniority of the order. So first, we had the order of bishops, cardinal bishops, led by Cardinal Pietro Parolin, followed by the cardinal patriarch of the Oriental Rite, and then there will be the cardinal presbyters, and ending with the cardinal deacons.
And when each cardinal has sworn to uphold the oath read by Cardinal Parolin, the Master of Pontifical Liturgical Celebrations will proclaim extra omnes, let everyone go out, basically expelling everybody who's not taking part in the actual election from the Sistine Chapel. The doors are then closed for the first time. The Master of Pontifical Liturgical Celebrations remains inside, along with Cardinal Cantalamessa, of course, who's taking part in the conclave, but has also been chosen to give the meditation. That is in accordance with the norms of the Apostolic Constitution Universi Dominici Gregis. You'll hear that title quite a bit. That is the document that guides every step of the conclave, and in fact the whole period of interregnum between the death or resignation of a pope and the election of a new pope. The Apostolic Constitution prescribes that the meditation should reflect on the very grave duty of electing a new pope, of the necessity of going into that election and making the choice with the right intentions, and of considering only the will of God, the judgment of God, and the needs of Holy Mother Church. The cardinals are called to be concerned solely with the good of the universal church.
Sigme Deus adiuvet et hoc sancta Evangelii Dei, quem mea tango.
Et ego Albertus Cardinalis Pater Bendigedon spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuet et hec sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Reinhardus Cardinalis Marx spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et hec sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego João Brás Cardinalis de Avis spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et eco sancta Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Thomas Cardinalis Collins spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et hec sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Willem Jacobus Cardinalis Eijk spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et hec sancta Dei Evangeliae quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Iosef Cardinalis Betori spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et hec sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Timothy Cardinalis Dolan spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et hec sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Rainer Maria Cardinalis Wölki spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et hec sancta Dei Evangelia quae muna mea tango.
Et ego Jacobis Cardinalis Harvey spondeo roveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et hec sancta Dei Evangelia de manu mea tango.
Et ego Basilios Cardinalis Clemis spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et hec sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Gerardus Ludovicus Cardinalis Müller spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et hec sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Vincent Cardinalis Nicholas spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et hec sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Leopoldo José Cardinalis Brenes Solórzano spondeo voveo ex iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et ex sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango. Et ego Gérald Cyprien Cardinalis Lacroix spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et ex sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
And as we see each of the cardinals coming up and taking the oath, as we mentioned at the beginning, there's quite a number of cardinals for countries that have never had a cardinal elector participate in a conclave. There are at least 15 countries that this is the first time that their country will be represented in the election of a pontiff. And those countries include Myanmar, Haiti, Central African Republic, Cape Verde, Papua New Guinea, Malaysia, Sweden, Luxembourg, East Timor, Singapore, Paraguay, South Sudan, Serbia, and Mongolia, and Rwanda. And this is the most international in history, with representatives from 71 countries, making it a very international and wide-reaching representation of the universality of the Catholic Church.
Et ex sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Philippus cardinalis Vedraugo spondeo voveo ad iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego scibili cardinalis Langlois spondeo voveo ac iuo, sic me Deus adjuvet, et hec sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Manuel cardinalis Clement spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Brahana Iesus cardinalis Raphael spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et hec sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego John cardinalis Jew spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvit, et haec sancta Dei Evangelii qui manu mea tango.
Et ergo Charles cardinalis Bo spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et anca sancta Dei Evangelia qui manu mea tango.
Et ego Francis Xavier cardinalis Cringsacoit vanis spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvat, et hec sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Franciscus cardinalis Montenegro spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Daniel cardinalis Sturla Veruet spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Arlindo cardinalis Gomes Furtado spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Soane Patita cardinalis Maffi spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et haec sancta Dei Evangelia quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Dieudonné cardinalis Nzapalainga spondeo voveo ad iuro, sic meus Deus adjuvet,
et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego, Cardenal Osoro, spondeo adjuro, sime Deus adjuvet et santa Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego, Sergio Cardinalis da Rocha, spondeo volveo aciuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Blasius Cardinalis Supic, spondeo volveo acuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et hic sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Joseph de Cardinalis de Ceso spondeo voveo acuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Carlos Cardinalis Aguiarretes, spondeo voveo adjuro, sic me Deus adjuvet et ex sancta Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
And perhaps a brief curiosity in this process as each cardinal swears to uphold this oath, and each one has to do it individually because each one is personally responsible for his promise. Some of the cardinals have given their first name in Latin, some of them give it in their native language, and their last names are all the last names as they would say them in normal life. And when we have the announcement of the new Pope, hopefully guided by the Holy Spirit very soon, the announcement will be made in a similar fashion where they will read the formula for the announcement of a new Roman pontiff. The first name will be read in Latin, followed by their title, and concluding with their last name in everyday language. And so those who are watching on the night of the election after the white smoke comes out, there will be lots of people with lists of first names of cardinals in Latin so that they can determine immediately which of the cardinals will have been chosen as the new supreme pontiff. There is no such time limit for a conclave. The cardinals are expected to have a vote immediately this evening. Each cardinal writes out the vote on a paper ballot, disguising their handwriting so that we can preserve anonymity as much as possible. And for the election of a new pope, a full 2/3 of the voting cardinals need to make their choice for the same person. And as I mentioned, there should be a vote this evening. We will have a coverage beginning at 6 p.m. Rome time in anticipation of the results of that first vote, which will be signaled with the burning of the ballots and the black or white smoke coming from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel. All of that happens behind closed doors. If there is if a pope is not elected this evening, the conclave concludes for the day, and we'll pick up again tomorrow morning with Mass and prayer. And each day, each subsequent day, there are 2 votes in the morning if necessary, and 2 votes in the afternoon if necessary. If no pope is elected, the black smoke comes out after the second vote. If Pope is elected, of course, the white smoke will come after whichever vote it happens at. After several rounds of voting, if it takes that long, there is provision in the Apostolic Constitution for a period for a break where the cardinals will not vote, and then they will pick up after a day of reflection and prayer. They'll pick up again the following day and continue again in groups of successive votes with certain periods programmed in where if there is a longer conclave, they will have various points at which they'll be able to take a break and reflect and pray. It's been a very long time since we've had a conclave go more than a few days. Since the beginning of the 20th century, the longest conclave lasted only 7 votes in 1903 and took place over the course of 5 days. The voting schedule was not the same as it is now. So we will be taking a break after the Extra Omnes and the closing of the doors of the Sistine Chapel. And then we will resume our live broadcast this evening at 6 p.m. Rome time. And we'll be giving coverage of the conclave leading up to the expected first smoke signal, as it were, announcing the outcome of this evening's ballot for the papacy.
Et ego Alvaro Cardinalis Ramazzini espondeo voveo adjuro.
And we're currently in the midst of the cardinals of the Order of Presbyters, which will be followed by the Order of Deacons. Once again, each cardinal makes the oath in his own name, taking personal responsibility for his promise and his commitment to maintain the secrecy of the conclave, to faithfully carry out the Petrine ministry if elected, and a solemn oath to affirm and defend boldly the spiritual and temporal rights, the religious and secular rights, as well as the freedom of the Holy See. The oath also speaks about the necessity of faithfully and scrupulously observing all of the prescriptions that the popes have laid out for the conduct of the conclave, and we can be assured the whole apparatus and procedure of the conclave is designed to ensure that there can be no doubt about the valid election of the next pope. And we know that these cardinals all take very seriously this very religious commitment to elect a new bishop of Rome.
Spondeo voveo acuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Augustus Paulus, cardinalis lo iudice, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Johannes Marcus, cardinalis Avelin, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Peter e bere cardinalis Abaleke, spondeo voveo ac iuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et hex sancta Dei Evangelia, quae manu Deo tango.
Et ego Leonardus Udalricus cardinalis Steiner, spondeo vovio ac abiuro, sic me Deus adjuvet, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Philippus Neri, cardinalis Ferrau, spondeo vovio ac iuro. Sic me Deus adiuvit, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Robertus Cardinalis McElroy, spondeo vovio ac iuro. Sic me Deus adiuvit, et haec sancta Dei Evangelii, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Virgilius Cardinalis do Carmo da Silva, spondeo vovio ad iuro. Sic me Deus audivet, et haec sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Anscarius Cardinalis Cantoni, spondeo voveo ac iuro. Sic me Deus adiuvit, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Pula Cardinalis Anthony, spondeo voveo ac iuro. Sic me Deus adiuit, et ac sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Paulus Caesar Cardinalis Costa, spondeo voveo at iuro. Sic me Deus adiuvit, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego William Cardinalis Co, spondeo voveo ac iuro. Sic me Deus adiuvit, et ac sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Adalbertus Cardinalis Martinez Flores, spondeo voveo ad iuro. Sic me Deus adiuve, et sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Georgius Cardinalis Marengo, spondeo voveo ac iuro. Sic me Deus adiuvit, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Petrus Baptista Cardinalis Pizzaballa, spondeo voveo ac iuro. Sic me Deus adiuvit, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Stephen Cardinalis Brislin, spondeo vovio ad iugoro. Sic me Deus adiuvit, et haec sancta Dei Evangelia, quae manu mea tango.
Et ego Angelus Sixtus Cardinalis Rossi, spondeo voveo ac iuro. Sic me Deus adiuvit, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.
Et ego Aloysius Joseph Cardinalis Rueda Aparicio, spondeo voveo ac iuro. Sic me Deus adiuvit, et ex sancta Dei Evangelia, que manu mea tango.